Afternoon and welcome to Milan-Sanremo preview. Delighted to say we are once again joined by Jay Thomson. Jay, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Great to be back on the preview show.
That's now named the very famous Eurosport Mention preview show. So, how was last time we spoke? Was Tirreno? How was the race?
Yeah, it was good. We were lucky is an understatement with the weather. You know, every day it was 15 to 20 degrees and no rain. Yeah, a couple of windy days, but everybody can handle wind. We didn't have to worry about the same thing as what the guys in Paris said. So yeah, it made it an enjoyable Tirreno. You know, we walked away with nothing in the hand, but you know, sometimes it goes like that when you've got everything going towards it, and it just doesn't happen. And yeah, but you know, we can't complain. It happens that way, and that's bike racing. That's what makes us so motivated for the next one. You know.
And the next one just happens to be the first monument of the season, Milan-Sanremo, which is tomorrow. You've just driven up to Milan today. You know, do the riders get the same level of excitement as the fans do ahead of these big races?
Yeah, I could say so. I think so. And the nerves you can see is on a different level when you come to the classics. You know, guys are nervous. You know, things have to be also a perfect vice. You know, it's a long day. 300 k's is not just around the bend. You know, it might be a flat race. You know, I think in total you climb 1,600 meters the whole day, but 7 hours on the bike is a long time. You know, so everybody's nervous. The race doesn't happen till you start hitting the Kappas before the Cipressa and then the Poggio. If you've wasted energy before you get there, your race is over. You know, so yeah, of course, everybody's nervous. Mechanics are nervous, making sure that bikes are 100%, you know, everything's working perfect, that you don't have a mechanical issue during the day, that you have to waste energy by going back to the car, or, you know, I think from the top to the bottom, everybody gets nervous, you know. For a day like today, like tomorrow, it's a big one for everybody.
You've been here before. The team obviously has fond memories of this race. Chile winning back in 2013, a kind of really one of those moments that will go down in history for the team, no doubt. I mean, going back, obviously it was a number of years ago now. What do you remember of that day?
Not much, to be honest. I think I was hypothermic. It was crazy for me. That was coming from South Africa. The day I think I arrived the days before Tirreno. We had horrible weather there, and then we hit Sanremo in the snow, and it was the first time I've ever had to ride in snow, and it just blew me apart, you know. And then stopping and then restarting. It was raining along the coast there. Then it stopped raining, and then everybody took their wet stuff off, and then it started raining again, and then my engine just shut down. But you know, it was an incredible moment for our team. You know, our first moment that we were racing, and Gerald was unbelievable. You know, I think the conditions just set him perfectly, and everything just went perfect that day for him. So, you know, we hope to do a repeat again. You know, the weather's just, luckily enough, not the same as that year, but you know, my first Sanremo was one that I'll never forget, and something that I'll probably tell my grandkids about. But that was for me the most eye-opening and most painful experience ever.
You mentioned the length of the race. Obviously, that has huge impact on everybody. Your own particular role, obviously, we see you at the front of the peloton, smashing out, breaking the breakaways' hearts and bringing them back. I mean, over 300 kilometres. Your own particular role, I suppose it's maybe a little longer than usual. In terms of eating and nutrition-wise, how do you go about fueling up for such a long effort?
No, look, I don't think it's any different to what you would do before any of the other classics, you know. Obviously, eating the pasta, eating your rice, making sure you have enough food on the bike, you know. I think that's the most important. You can eat a lot the night before, but that doesn't really make you last 7 hours. It's making sure that you eat constantly while you're doing the 7 hours. While you're busy doing the effort, just to remember, hey, I need to eat, I need to drink. It's not a 4-hour race where you can have one sip of your bottle and have one gel or two gels and you make it through. That's the difference between Sanremo and Roubaix and all of the real big classics, the ones where you're 6.5, 7 hours on the bike. You have to eat the whole time. You have to make sure that you remember, hey, I need to eat now. And it doesn't just start after 2 hours or 3 hours. You have to start eating already in the first hour already. If you're not eating in the first hour, you're paying for it in the last hour. It's because you have to almost keep that glycogen levels and energy stores topped up constantly. It's almost like a race to try and make sure that you keep your energy levels at its best. So, drinking and eating is just super, super important in these long races. Sanremo is an easier race to eat than the likes of a Paris-Roubaix or maybe a Liège or something like this, or a Flanders. Those are a lot harder to actually eat because, you're fighting for every corner, you're fighting for every cobblestone section, you're fighting for every little climb. Where here, it's, most of the time it's just going faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, and then you get to the climbs and then they go faster. You do the same speed going up the Cipressa as you're doing almost on the bottom of the Torquino. So it's incredible how fast the bunch does go at the end of a race. But the reason being is if you're not eating, you're not making it. I read an interview with Cav saying, it's one of the most easiest races to finish, but it's the hardest race in the world to win. And it's totally true because, if you run out of reserve, if you didn't eat properly throughout the 7 hours leading up, or say the 6.5 hours leading up into the Cipressa and the Poggio, when the accelerations start happening, because, that's where the punchy guys, the Greg Van Avermaets, the Kwiatkowskis, those kind of guys, they're going to try their luck and try and win the bike race. So when they go and you haven't eaten enough, there's no ways that you're going to come back. And the minute you lose 1 meter on one of these descents, you're never coming back. It's, once the Cipressa starts, you lose a meter on the guy in front of you. To close that meter, that's cost you the race. I think just that long, so long sustained efforts, it's just all about eating on the bike. I don't think it's really eating about before the race, but more on the bike.
You mentioned nerves in the bunch. It's one of those races where, as a spectator, you can actually feel the nerves on television, and those nerves often lead to crashes. I mean, does the bunch feel more nervous in a race like this? You feel it as they come to the Cipressa. It just seems to be crazy, and we always have crashes. Does it feel more nervous in a normal race, or is it just same sort of feelings?
I can tell you it's one of the most... Running into the first of the Kappas is, the Capamela, I think it is. And the first you run into there, you can cut the tension with a knife. I was running the front last year, running into the bottom of there and up there, and you can just feel the tension behind you. You can feel the energy of the guys just now. Okay, we're into the final 50K. We've done 240 already, plus a 10K neutral. So we've probably done 260 already. And now the race actually starts. And it's not really starting. It's just everybody wants to be in the front, because if you're not in the front, you're braking when they're going down the descent. You have to accelerate in the corners, up the climbs. You have to watch for the guys that are tired, that are touching wheels, that are crashing you, guys that are getting dropped. These little climbs at the end are nothing when you go and do them in training. I can tell you I did it 3 times a recon on there. In the recon, I ride up there without breathing. Every year I race up there, it feels like I'm going up Alpe d'Huez.
I mean, that's something the riders often comment is the supposed easiness of the climbs, but after such a long distance, how does it feel so different in the legs? You said there you can ride up these climbs easily in training, but after, the capos come at 230 kilometres, what's the feeling like in the legs at that point?
Yeah, the first one you get over pretty okay. But you're going fast. That's the problem. It's just they're not steep, they're not really long, but they just 230 Ks already in the legs. You know, if you've wasted energy somewhere, it feels like a massive mountain that you have to climb. So, yeah, it feels just different to any other race. You know, I think it's hard to explain. It's a feeling that you just think to yourself, I don't remember this thing being so steep. It just hurts. I rode up there in the front last year and I was thinking to myself, was it this hard in training? Really? No, it couldn't have been. You know, I wanted to go in the small chainring and I was like, okay, well, I'm still rightly the front. I go in the small chainring and I'm going to get dropped. And then the second time, the small chainring, boom, I was out the back.
Do you have an idea of where in the race you would have to your teammates, or is it just last as long as you can?
For me, myself, it's obviously if I'm riding the front, I just have to make sure that the brake's within a certain distance by the time I'm coming off the front. You know, obviously the further, more kilometres I can do being in the front there, it gives our guys more opportunity to sit more forward, because it's almost an unwritten rule that you've got somebody riding the front, you can sit with your team near the front, you know. So, and teams do, in a way, respect that. You blowing one of your riders to make sure that the race is still together. So, you know, you've got the choice to sit closer to the front, so it does help. But so the further I can make it, the further the other 7 guys in our team can go. You know, if I blow and I'm off the front, then that means somebody else has to take over. So the sooner, the further I get, the better. But putting a target is always hard because, the speed that we go, if it's been a hard day, if it's a big break, if it's wind, headwind, tailwind, you know, if it's a tailwind from Genoa to Sanremo, then it's easy to ride the front up the Kappas. Then you can almost make it to the Cipressa. But if it's a headwind along to Sanremo, then it's a little bit more difficult, you know.
The race for, I suppose, most people really starts at the Cipressa, 5.6k, 4.1%. We normally see some attacks going off there. Daniel Loss seems to love attacking from that point. Poggio, again, it doesn't sound hard, 3.7k, 3.7%, and you've touched on it already. The speed, the climate is insane and almost stops anybody from attacking. And then we have the kamikaze descent down into Sanremo itself. I mean, you've obviously ridden that descent. I mean, how crazy. It looks mental on TV.
In the race, you know, I've never done it in the front group, but I think those guys go down there and just thinking, do not break. You know, and those corners are, and they proper hairpins. It's not that you can't break. So, you know, if you lose half a meter, that means you have to accelerate to go onto there. You know, I know guys that have said to me, Jay, if you're ever in the front one day at this race, you lose 1 meter at the bottom of the Poggio, you will not be in the front group to sprint unless you're Sagan. You know, most of the guys, you can see it. They make it over the Poggio and they're in the front group of 20 guys. They come down the descent and there's only 11 left in the front because guys get dropped on the flat section because they just lost that 1 meter and they can't close it because, 289 Ks when you hit the bottom of the Poggio. There's not much left in the legs to make another back of guys that are going straight onto the big main road running into Sanremo. So you run with the speed. You're hitting it at 70k an hour. If you have some slight hesitation at the back, you've got nothing left to stay on the wheel, and that's it. Race over, game over. Unless, as I say, you Sagan and then you just do your little dance and you're in the front again.
And then we have 2.5 kilometres of chaos where, you know, we might have 10, 20, 30 guys, riders without a sprint have to attack. If you're a sprinter, you hope you have a teammate to chase them down. Last year, I think it was Trentin who was chasing down a good move from Edvald himself and Greg Van Avermaet. So teammates, obviously hugely important at the very, very end. Edvald was looking good last season, 7th place in the TT in Tirreno, so clearly he's still carrying some good form in. Team confident?
Yeah, I think we can carry a lot of confidence in there. You know, you've got a past winner in Cav. If as you say, 30 guys are in the final, you can almost count that Cav's going to be in there. And when Cav can sprint sprint after 290 k's. You know that. So, it's obviously it all comes down into also then into the team. How many teammates do you have left there? How many guys make it over the Poggio, and how many guys make the descent in the front? That's the thing. It's also how the Poggio is raced. Last year, the Cipressa and the Poggio was raced at a constant speed. It was raced for a sprinter. It was almost like they let Stannard and Visconti, I think, attacked on the Cipressa last year, and they just, okay, you go, and they brought them back on the downhill. There's 12 k's between the two climbs. If there's a headwind, it's a suicide attempt. So, if you look at the weather for this year, it's a tailwind. So maybe a tack does work on the Cipressa this year, but then the guys have to go up the Poggio at a different speed. Then you have to go really fast to catch a breakaway, So, yeah, the tactics might be a little bit different this year on guys attacking more because with favourable conditions, but it's also still 280 k's when you have to try and attack, and that's also not so easy.
In terms of the stars, you've got in your 1-star section, you've got Cavendish. You mentioned him there already. You've got Colbrelli, who won a very impressive stage in Paris-Nice, and you have Greg Van Avermaet for a late attack, no doubt. Obviously, you're in the same team as Cavendish. 30-man group, you would expect him to be there. He's a former winner of this race. He has the experience required. You've talked already about eating throughout the race. Cavendish will start the race confident, no doubt, and has a big chance, yeah?
Yeah, of course. That's one guy I'll never discount. Even if it's 20 guys, the chance of Cav being there is really good. Cav he's a champion. We've spoken about him before, and I think, my honest opinion, he's got what it takes. He was unlucky in Tirreno a few times with stupid things that went wrong, or just that he didn't win a stage there, or he wasn't really actually able to sprint because of things that just didn't fall into place. Somebody getting blocked, getting run off the wheel, getting almost in a crash. So he didn't get to show his form in Tirreno. So I think he's the real person people may be overlooking, but I believe he's got what it takes to win the Sanremo again.
And Colbrelli, I suppose the Paris-Nice win is fresh in your mind. Obviously riding on home soil. I think he was 5th here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and he was 9th as well. So I think he's been in the top 10 twice already. So, and then I looked at something that was really, really, really interesting for me. The last stage of Paris-Nice. If you see where he finished, then on a stage like that, 115 k's with that much climbing, for a sprinter still to be in the front group to sprint for 5th, I think, or 7th, was it? Shows that his form is good. He's not doing that after a Paris-Nice like that if he's got bad condition. So, he's somebody that he's a real outsider. I think Colbrelli is really somebody that could do it for Italy again.
1-star, I've got Cavendish in there as well, much for the same reasons you have. I've also gone for some guys who will attack, hopefully on the Poggio or at the bottom. Tim Vellens, who is still in incredible shape, didn't quite work for him in Tirreno, and I've gone for your other teammate, Steve Cummings, because if there's anybody capable of putting an attack in the final 2K and staying away, it is Cummings. We've seen it before. We've seen it in Tirreno last season. If there is a rider who can drop everybody and disappoint the sprinters, I do believe it's him. Keeps his cards close to his chest, no doubt, in terms of races that he wants to attack on. But I have a feeling for him. Let's just say that.
Okay.
What do you think about your teammate Cummings?
You said it. He keeps his cards close to his chest, so he doesn't tell you. You can just see his shape. You can see he's in good shape. He is in really good condition at the moment. So, yeah, he can do it. He's one of those riders. He's one of the only riders in the world that has what it takes to make that sort of effort and can sustain it. We saw when he won the Tour de France stage last year. He attacked with 30-something k's to go, and behind Nibali he was chasing through on a climb and couldn't even. He was taking time out of Nibali. So, on the pod, if he had to attack on the Ciprese and they don't close it down fast, I think you'll be ruining the missed chance there, because I think he'll be gone.
You've got your other teammate Bosenhagen in at 2 stars. You have Buhani and you have Kwiatkowski. We've talked about Edvald already, so talk about Nasser. Took a good win on Wednesday in Knocker course. Was very unlucky last season here. I think his chain slipped right at the end when I think it looked like he was going to win. You've continued. You've got faith in him. I've dropped him off my list. Tell me about Buhani.
Yeah, look, I watched the video the other day about that with the sprint last year, and sorry to say to Arnold Demar, but I think Buhani was the fastest. If it wasn't for what happened with his bike, I don't know if the chain slipped or he touched the hand. I don't know what he did, but it just looks like he has a mechanical, and he still comes third or fourth. I can't remember.
I think it was fourth. I think Roland's got.
I think it was fourth, but still, to do that, normally most guys at the end of 290 k's, they just sit up. Their legs are gone, they're empty, they're dead. You just say, okay, my chance is gone here, and he still kept on fighting. So. And he's a fighter. We've all seen it. He's a feisty little guy, and he wants to win bike races. And after seeing having the disappointment of Paris for him, I think it was, I think he went home because of a crash on the first stage or second stage. He went home already, so he was disappointed with nothing in the hand from there. But went to Knocker Cruise and he won like he was racing against juniors. He really did. He sprinted there, so his shape is good. He's in good shape. So I believe that if he gets the chance that he has and he's in the same position as he was last year, picking these stars were not easy, David.
Certainly
there's
not.
So many guys and there's so many opportunities that could do something. After such a long race, it's just, if a guy's in a good position and he's got his legs and he's got his cards close to him and he can do what he does, then yeah, he's fast.
And you've got the former world champion, who is one of the best descenders known to man. Kwiatkowski obviously has a big chance of just escaping on that downhill. I would imagine you don't need much of a gap. You've said before it's very hard to close wheels at that point in the race. So he'll be looking to hopefully get off the front at the end.
Yeah, last year he tried and it was a headwind to the finish and I think he just died. He had 5 seconds at the bottom, but when you've got Sagan and Cancellara chasing from behind, Cancellara's last Sanremo, he's not going to let you just walk away with a chance for him to not have a go victory, So, I think Kwiatkowski was unlucky last year, but no, don't discount him for making an effort on the Ciprese or the Poggio, because, we saw what he did at Strade Bianchi, so.
I've gone 2 stars, 2 former winners, Christoph and Degenkolb, who have been good in Paris-Nice but not great. I'll be honest, they lost to Colbrelli in a sprint. Some of the other sprints, they just weren't quite there yet. And I've also got Van Avermaet because you just know he's going to be there and he's such an amazing rider. The one thing that goes against him is when he attacks, everybody follows. So to get that surprise attack is very, very hard for him. 3 stars.
Yeah, exactly.
3 stars, we have Sagan, we have Gaviria, both of us. You've got the former winner Demar, and I have Michael Matthews. You've obviously raced against Sagan and Gaviria recently in Tirreno. Both of them look simply incredible. Gaviria unfortunately crashed yesterday and has a sore wrist, but he's going to race. So what do you think about your 3-star selections?
Sagan, if there was a 10-star, you put him at 10 stars because this man is... That's all I can say. This man, he is... Is he human? Is he really a human being? I'd love to cut him open and see if he's human because, wow. The stage he won in...
Fermo.
Was it? Yeah, in Fermo. I watched the highlights of it and I was just like, there's just climbers left and you weigh 80 kilograms and you're still there. How much power did you put out? I know how much power I did and I weigh 5 kilos less. But Yeah, so, Sagan, that's why he's world champion 2 years in a row, and the possibility of being world champion 3 years in a row is really good again in Norway, but we won't talk about that now. But yeah, Sanremo, I think it's one that's missing from his Palmares. He wants to win that. He's got good, really incredible shape. He doesn't need teammates. He could probably start by himself, and he probably could still win. That was just so unfair. How could one guy just be... But then the guy that can stop him is Gaviria. I think Gaviria is a Sagan. He's also super talented. He rides his bike with ease. He's smaller, so that means he doesn't have to waste as much energy going up little hills than Sagan does, and he's fast. Gaviria is simply a speed machine, so I think it'll be interesting to see how he comes from his crash yesterday, or was it the day before? I didn't really read the story. I just saw a highlight saying that he had crashed and hurt his wrist, but you don't pedal your bike with your wrist, so at the end of the day, that's what he's thinking too. He knows that he's in incredible shape and he can go for it. And then Arnaud Demar, the stage he won in Paris-Nice, when Julian Alaphilippe was sprinting away like that, and other climbers were looking at each other like, I can't follow that. And Demar rode across, looked at him and carried on riding, and then just led the sprint out. Just shows that his shape is, But other thing is he be able to do it in 18 degrees? There it was 3 degrees and cold. It was rainy. Everybody was on their hands and knees there. So, yeah, I've given him 3 stars because of what he did there. But in another sense, I think about it, I say, the weather was completely different. It's going to be warm tomorrow. It's going to be a Milan-Sanremo of last year where we rode without arm warmers and leg warmers the whole day. No undershirt, guys stacking the undershirts off because you were getting too hot. So... But he did win last year. No matter what everybody said, if he towed up a climb or whatever he did, there's always jealous people in the world, and there's always people trying to bring somebody down and saying, you did this and you did that. At the end of the day, he did win, and I hope for his sake he didn't hold on to a car to get up the climb to win, because then even in his mind it didn't count. So I think he's also got a lot to prove. For him, I think he wants to prove something, because, he wants to prove that I won Milan-Sanremo fair and square last year. I'll show you I did it again this year. So if he's there in the final, you can know that he's got a drive bigger than most guys, because he's got something to prove. That's what makes a winner between a winner and a champion. Is that desire to prove that you're better than everybody else. I think that's why Cavendish is so good. He's always got this desire to show people, you think that I'm not good enough, hey? I'll show you. So, yeah, and I think Arnaud Demar, I think he's on the same sort of thing from last year on this race. He's sitting at home when he was training in off-season for sure. He was thinking, how can these guys say I was cheating, and how can they say I was doing this, and how can they say I was doing that? But, at the end of the day, if he did do it, then he was sitting at home being ashamed of himself. We don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say that he held on to a car or whatever he did. But at the end of the day, he was the one that put up his hands for the victory. So I think this year he's going to want to do it again, just to prove, hey, I did it fair and square, and I'm going to do it again.
You've covered Sagan and Gaviria perfectly. There's nothing more to add. We just have to see how Gaviria responds after his crash. I'm got Matthews. I rewatched the last couple of years' races. Matthews was outstanding 2 years ago. He attacked on the Poggio, and then I think Sagan and him kind of had a small gap, and then it just didn't quite work out, and he ended up taking third in the sprint. Degenkolb came from behind and got a really good run that year. Last year he was involved in the crash with Demar, and that took him out, and he couldn't compete. He's got a very strong team. Sunweb are not probably one of the fancied teams, but he's got riders like Geschke and Dumoulin and even Nikias Arndt who could be there towards the end. And I think for Matthews, this is his number one goal. He didn't win a stage in Paris-Nice. He was fourth in one of the sprint stages. He was insanely good in the mountain time trial. If he hadn't crashed, he probably would have been up there first or second. So his form is clearly outstanding. And this has always been one of his target races, and Australians have a good record here. Goss has won, Gerrans has
They've
won.
won it a few times.
Yeah, so I think Matthews is one of those ones who could potentially go and do it. Now, I think we've covered just about every rider. You've mentioned it is hard to narrow it down to 9. Now
we could probably mention another 20 guys that have got a chance.
Now you've got to narrow it down to 1. So, who is going to be the winner of the 2017 Milan-Sanremo?
That's unfair. This is a hard one. Really, it's a hard one to pick. My heart is saying go with Sagan. Or actually, I should say my mind is going with Sagan and my heart is saying going with Bassenhagen. I just think the gentleman has power like we do not know. And he's been knocking on the door to win a classic for a long time, and I don't know. I'm going to go with my teammate. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to back one of my teammates. And I'm going to say that Bassenhagen's got a really, really, really good shot tomorrow. Okay,
you're going Bosenhagen. This is going to be crazy because neither of us are going to pick potentially the 2 best riders in the race. I'm going Matthews. I think that his form is just too good just now. To do that time trial with a mountain, a 3 kilometre, 4 kilometre, 8% climb is just unreal. I think, I'm not sure how he's going to win. I don't know what the situation is going to be at the bottom of the Poggio, but I think the Australian's going to go and do it. So you're going Bosenhagen, I'm going Matthews. Neither of us have picked Sagan.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you pick him, it's like, I don't know, picking a one horse race and picking the one horse. I don't know. I don't want to pick him because, I don't know. My mind saying, yeah, of course, who can beat him? But my heart is saying that they are guys.
We love an underdog. Everybody loves an underdog.
Exactly.
And after the epic 300 kilometres, Jay, what's up next for yourself?
Yeah, then I head off to the Belgium races. I do E3 on Friday.
Where you were in the break last year?
Yeah, where I was in the break all day last year. And got caught by the speeding Sagan and I think the 3 guys that were just holding on for dear life. I would have liked to have stayed there longer, but I think I punched it or something. Yeah, I punched it on I can't remember what section it was. But yeah, okay, I was out of there. But yeah, look forward to going back there. The weather doesn't look like it will be so much fun this year at the Belgium Classics. If I look forward to the weather for Friday and Sunday, but you know, we're going to go there with a strong team. You know, so next weekend's another big opportunity for two more big races. But you know, my mind is set for tomorrow. I'm ready for tomorrow. But you know, the next 3 weeks is really important. Oh, 4 weeks. Till Roubaix is now. It's the start of the classics, you know. It's the start of the reason why we train hard in off season. Why us guys do it, you know. Why we suffer why I suffered many hours riding on the rollers when it was snowing outside, and why I pushed the power when I had to get the condition to where it is, and you know, then we hope that we can go there and everything falls in place, and it'd be great if our team can walk away with the classic victory this year.
Well.
And it would be better if it's done tomorrow, then the pressure's off.
Fingers crossed it goes well for yourself and the team tomorrow. I look forward to many hours of you on the front tomorrow, no doubt. Plenty airtime for you. And best of luck. Hope it goes well. And thank you for coming back on the preview show.
Anytime.
Cheers. And we
Cheers.
are